All right, everyone. Obama the other day decided to take a slap at Trump, and he said, well, my White House never had an embarrassing scandal. Ha ha. Basically intoning, hey, Donald, you're so scandal-ridden. So, the Mueller probe, which is not going to indict or impeach Trump. At this point, it's pretty much certain. They're just dragging it on. They're like, oh, we indicted these Russians. Had nothing to do with Trump. He wasn't aware of it. Oh, we indicted this person. Oh, it's related to Manafort, who, everyone already knew about from months ago. Oh, Flynn might reverse, apparently his guilty plea or whatever. So the Mueller probe stuff is essentially falling apart. I'm not sure exactly what scandal thus Obama is talking about. What scandal? Trump said something that you found offensive. Who cares? Trump said something mean to a political opponent. So? Didn't you call him a jackass? And by the way, when Obama claims his White House never had a significant or embarrassing scandal, okay, what about Fast and Furious? Oh yeah, sorry, we gave automatic weapons to cartels. We were going to try to track cartel members in so doing. Unfortunately, we immediately lost control of all those weapons. No, it turns out we can't trace them. A border agent died, and one of these guns was linked back to this Eric Holder's bullshit. Oh, that's not a scandal. It's not embarrassing for the U.S. government to lose thousands of automatic weapons that we accidentally ended up turning over to a bunch of literal cartel members. That's not embarrassing at all. What about the NSA scandal? Oh, that time that we violated the Fourth Amendment for years at a time, and in which Obama, campaigner Obama, talking 2007, 2008. Oh, well, I want a more transparent government. I'm not sure all this surveillance is helpful. We have to look into it. Despite the fact that you supposedly were having a look at our surveillance programs, you then tried to claim when the NSA revelations came in, oh, I didn't even know about this. I saw it on CNN first. Obama, he gets up in the morning, he puts on his fuzzy slippers, he's got his robe and his coffee. He sits down, turns on CNN, he's drinking his coffee, and all of a sudden he fucking sputters on and drips coffee all over himself. Just imagine that imagery, because he finds out that the government was violating people's Fourth Amendment rights. And then Obama, of course, lied about it multiple times. That's not embarrassing at all. It's not scandalous at all. What about the time you said Donald won't be president? It's not really a scandal, it just shows. I would think that's embarrassing, at least for you. It must be nice to be so high in the presidential rankings when apparently, and this is another scandalous thing I would think, let's take you at your word, Mr. Obama. Let's assume that you're telling the truth when you say, well, yeah, we knew that the Russians were trying to interfere in the election, but we thought Hillary was going to win, so, it didn't matter. Isn't that a dereliction of your duty to the American people to say, hey, I claim that the election was ironclad, couldn't be hacked, couldn't be influenced, no funny business, no rigging, nothing. But yeah, Russians are trying to constantly influence you to vote for Donald Trump. The reason why it was never said by the Obama camp was because it wasn't true, and it would have been a field day mode for Donald Trump, because he would have said, what's your proof? And Obama would have said, we don't have any proof. Oh yeah, and the fact that you were conducting surveillance on him the entire time. Seems to have nailed a pretty big money laundering ring, but it doesn't seem to have touched Trump. Closest you get is Jared Kushner, who was at odds with half of Trump's people anyway, who just got his security clearance downgraded and is an informal advisor. That's the other thing. They were saying the other day, by the way, they were talking about Roger Stone. Oh, he communicated with WikiLeaks despite saying that he never messaged with them. He was an informal Trump advisor. He wasn't even an official part of the campaign. He's not a politician. It's perfectly legal for him to talk to WikiLeaks. It's perfectly legal for Trump to talk to Roger Stone about what he did talk about with WikiLeaks. So long as he's not directly attempting to solicit anything incriminating on an opponent or breaking some other election law, it doesn't fucking matter. Roger Stone can do whatever he wants. I can message WikiLeaks. I can send him a DM right now. I can go to one of their pages. And I can email them and say, hey, I want to talk about X, Y, and Z. I'm a private citizen. I can do whatever the hell I want. There's no law against it for me. And Obama says, we never had a scandal in my White House. Oh, just records. Oh, yeah, what about that ACA rollout? What about the cronyism where one of Michelle Obama's besties, her company was the one handling the website design, and then the website crashed and was non-functioning, and it was kind of like shovel-ready. Oh, there's another one. Oh, shovel-ready programs, those weren't really shovel-ready. Sorry about that. What about the time you handed, 700 billion taxpayer dollars over to a bunch of private banks in order to keep them afloat instead of letting them crumble because they deserved it, because they had shitty ways of doing business. Or the time that you bailed out Detroit, and if you look at Detroit today, it didn't exactly help now, did it? Okay, one automotive manufacturer didn't end up with long-term repercussions from that. Now, what about when you raise taxes during a recession, stymieing job growth so that the only jobs available were like burger flipping and mopping floors and so forth, to the point where the economy resembled a third world country almost, because you had people with high-level degrees competing for $12 an hour nighttime dishwashing jobs. There was a time, peak recession, I can remember this. I got it firsthand from somebody very well aware of the situation. There was a person with a PhD. He's got published PhD level literal scientist literature, and he's trying to work at Walmart as like a night manager and stuff. Oh yeah, I can't find a job. There's nothing to do. Yeah, I've got all these scientific papers, peer-reviewed, published. I got a PhD from some heavy-hitting university. I'm going to work at Walmart. It's going to be a great time. Good luck paying back your student loans for the next 200 years. What about that time that you decided to roll up all of the student loans, at the state level like before, literally before that year? I would have handled things through VSAC. It would have been pretty good. Now, of course, you have to consolidate with a private company. Oh, yeah, and you can't go bankrupt either. Although that's Bush era, so that's not really on Obama. Now, there's plenty of wrongdoing from the Obama White House. One of the big problems was the drone program. You remember when the Pentagon report came out and said, oh yeah, about 3/4 of all the drone casualties are bystanders and civilians, not the actual target, because when the drone fires its missile, in a crowded street at a terrorist, sometimes people get splattered that happen to be near them. Sometimes human shields are used. Oh, sorry we bombed that orphanage, says Obama. It was a mistake. You had all sorts of problems. What about Benghazi? I hate to bring that one up because it was an actual scandal that got turned so partisan that people lost track of the reality of the situation and started going down the rabbit hole on both fucking sides. So that's not on Obama or anybody else in politics. That's really on the media for the most part, sensationalizing. But it was a scandal. You did end up, with a bunch of terror. You blamed a YouTube video, by the way, for the attack. That's the scandalous part. And the video had nothing to do with the attack. That's provable. We can prove that wasn't the case. It was not an organic, spontaneous uprising because some group of jihadis got a hold of a YouTube video and were insulted by it because it talked badly about Islam. That's not true. Absolutely not true. No, it was a planned, coordinated assault. But, nobody wants to talk about that. They'd rather talk about what Hillary Clinton knew. I would think that Obama, as the sitting president at the time, I think that's pretty substantial. What about in all the different occasions where Obama didn't know something until he saw it on TV? Wouldn't that bring up the concept of ineptitude? I said at the time with the NSA revelations. I said one of two things is true. Obama is a liar or Obama is inept. He's inept or he's corrupt because he either is telling the truth, in which case he didn't know about this high-level program, despite the fact that he supposedly was going to look into domestic surveillance. Didn't know anything about it, and so he's inept. He doesn't know how to search for it, or he didn't bother. Or he's lying. He did know it was going on, didn't have a problem with it, probably misused it. What about the time that the Obama IRS decided to go after political groups that were trying to apply for nonprofit status based on their politics? At the time, it was covered up by the Democrats by saying, oh, well, some progressive groups were targeted too by Lois Lerner. Yeah, the neoliberals don't like progressives because they compete within the Democratic Party any more than they like conservative-leaning groups that compete from outside of the Democratic Party. Wow, it's almost like neoliberals attempt to suppress other groups of people from ever getting into positions of power or raising money for worthy causes, thus increasing the reputation of progressive or further right. Wow, I never would have guessed. It makes no sense at all. Well, it took Lois Lerner to explain that to me. No, the Obama White House had plenty of scandals. So far, Trump's major problem, the most problematic thing he has done in his entire time in office, if I had to choose one thing, was bombing a Syrian airbase without legitimate provocation, which is an act of war, by the way. Right now, we've got a tale about, well, the UN report comes out and says, well, Syria got chemical weapons from the DPRK. I'm not sure that I believe that. It sounds a lot like the UN reports and other, U.S. reports prior to Obama wanting to strike Syria. Now, if this is like Trump's way of saying, hey, I want to go to war in Syria, but we need a justification for it, bye-bye Trump train, that would be a big problem. So I don't think that would be a good idea, for political reasons either. So apparently one of his advisors said weeks ago, chucklingly, and it was a joke, if we bomb the DPRK, it'll be good for the midterms. I really hope he's not going down that road. I really, really hope not. I think a lot of Trump's fans would very quickly abandon him, and he'd find out just how fair-weathered some forms of support really can be within the realm of politics. But yeah, Obama's claiming like I'm an angel, I'm better than any other, Democrat, living or dead. I was the best president, ha ha ha. No. Fast and Furious alone should have gotten you impeached. The NSA revelation should have gotten you investigated by Congress, but nobody had the balls to do anything. They didn't have the balls. That's what it boils down to. Congress, much like Congress wasn't willing to stand up against Bush because he would say unpatriotic and they would quiver in fear, they weren't willing to go up against Obama. Finally, Congress has some balls with Trump, and Trump's got actually good ideas. They're willing to stand against good ideas. They're not willing to stand against shitty ones. But, as long as someone charismatic brands it properly, says, okay, this bill that ultimately is going to let me kill anyone I want is called the If You Don't Pass This Bill, You Hate Children Act. That's basically what Bush and Obama did. Thank goodness so far Trump hasn't really done that. Hopefully he doesn't. Or he's not going to have any support from people like me. For Obama to come out and claim this is so totally wrong. He's hoping people have a very short memory span when it comes to some of the problems within his administration. The Benghazi video lie, it was a lie. The NSA, Fast and Furious, all this other stuff. The failed rollout of the ACA, shovel-ready jobs, all of these problems. The IRS with Lerner. That's quite a basket of scandals. You talk about basket of deplorables. I think it's a basket of scandals that happened in the prior administration. In a nonpartisan sense, of course, Bush was even worse. He had more scandals than Obama, and Obama was technically scandal-ridden. That's about all. Peace out.